Hi friends, Scott Brookins here. Just wanted to continue my saga or story about being a ball boy for the Denver Broncos. Um, if you watch the first video, and if you haven't, you need to go back and watch part one to see how that all came about. And when I was 13, I was able to be a ball boy for the Denver Broncos in 1973, and then for about 6 years. And it was an amazing experience. And so I thought today I would share a few stories that I can remember off the top of my head, and I want to give you some proof. My mom saved a lot of newspaper clippings. After a Bronco game the next day in the Denver Post or Rocky Mountain News, there'd be an article and photos of the game, and a lot of times there might be a picture of Craig Morton or Otis Armstrong or Lyle Alzado, one of those guys, and I'd be on the sideline and be in the newspaper. So my mom cut all those out and saved them. And one time, I think in high school, our local paper in Evergreen did an article on me and had some pictures. And so that's in storage somewhere. But I did find this is a program from one of the Bronco games in 1977 that my folks had. And inside, you'll see right here this good looking kid there with the 1970 glasses. Those are chick magnets, but the girls in my high school didn't get that memo. But anyway, it was a great experience. And I can remember the first year, my first game when the Oakland Raiders came to town. It was 1973, and it was actually the first Monday night football game to ever be played in Denver. So, Howard Cosell was up in the press box, and Don Meredith, and it was a huge thing that they recognized Denver. And we were playing the Oakland Raiders, and I came to learn that they were a dreaded rivalry, which I knew, but also when they came to town, I didn't ever get a chance to watch the game because I was so busy working to clean off the footballs. See, part of my job as a ball boy, or during the game, was to clean the ball. So we'd be on the sideline. The ball would go out of bounds, or you'd get it from the player, and then you toss a new one to the referee. And so then you'd wipe down the ball and so forth and get it ready for the next play. Well, back in this early 70s in the NFL, players could use a compound called Stickum, and it came in an aerosol can and also in a jar that had, like a popsicle stick, and the players then could spray that on their hands, and it would help them catch the ball better. And so that got all dirty, and so that's what I had to clean off. So the Oakland Raiders had this down to an art, and especially someone like the star wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff. If you remember him, he was a fantastic player, but he used to tape his forearms, both arms, with white tape, and then he would take the aerosol can before the game or every time he was on the sideline, he'd spray in his entire body with this Stickum stuff. And then he'd take the compound and get a huge amount on a stick, and then he'd put some on his arms and on his socks. And so every time he caught the ball, there was just gobs and gobs of this Stickum on it. And so they were tossed to us, and there was grass on it, and we'd have to wipe it off with a towel, and we'd spray some tape remover. And you worked really hard when the Raiders came to the game, came to Denver. But I got to meet some amazing players, the Broncos during this time. Oh, and just a sidebar, I started working for the Broncos in 1973. And what year do you think they had their first winning season? Yeah, 1973. Could be a coincidence, maybe not. I'll let you judge. But the Broncos at this time developed into a really good team. They had people like Lyle Alzado, Randy Gradishar. Floyd Little was still around for a couple years, Otis Armstrong, and then Craig Morton came in 77 and actually went to the Super Bowl that year. Teams I got to meet, the players from all across the NFL, the LA Rams and, Pittsburgh Steelers were huge back then. Terry Bradshaw and Lynn Swann, and they're huge, Mean Joe Green on defense. And of course, the Raiders had Ken Stabler, and, their coach back then was John Madden. And some of you might know him just from, doing TV commentary for many years, but he was the coach of the Raiders. And I learned a lot of cuss words from him. There was one game, and I always liked to work the visitors team so I could meet some of these players or be around them. There was one game where Madden just because of what he was yelling at the refs, he must have got 3 or 4 penalty flags on them right back to back. It was an amazing time. And so, but I just wanted to share one more thing. And if I come up with other stories, and there's a lot, you know, I may share those down the road. But, you know, as I mentioned in the first video, when I was 13, after writing letters for 3 years, I get a phone call and from the equipment manager, Larry Elliott, invited me to come work for them. And so he said, come on down to the headquarters and you can sign some employee papers. So my dad took the day off work. We drove down to Denver. We drive up to the Broncos facility, and I'm getting ready to get out of the car. I'm nervous, you know, I'm 13, but I'm going to the Denver Broncos, you know, and my dad doesn't move. And so I opened the door and I said, are you coming with me? And he said, no. He said, this is your thing. He said, you know, you've worked hard, and, you know, you can do this, and go get them. I'm proud of you. And so I got in, you know, I went into the office and they told me where to find Larry Elliott, and I went over, and, you know, I think I got $5 a game to start. And I think we have my first paycheck somewhere. And then by 6 years later, you know, I'd worked hard and got those raises, and I was getting about $10 a game. Of course, I would have done it for free, but you know, what my dad did really impressed me, and especially as I've been, you know, a father, and you know, remembering this, and I pray that I was a decent father to my son and daughter at times like this, where my dad, you know, he could have came in with me. I expected him to, and it would have been totally fine, but basically, you know, he gave me the rite of passage in a way, and just said, you know, you've done the work, go complete it. And so I want to encourage us that if we have our kids in our lives, or maybe grandkids, or our spouses, or just friends, and they're going after dreams, and we support them, but, you know, sometimes we need to hold back and let them complete it on their own. Even though, especially as parents, we want to help our kids succeed and do well, but, you know, we can only control what we can control, and that's our own lives. And so I pray that maybe this story in different ways would help you pursue a dream, or help you encourage someone else to pursue a dream, but also that you'll let them pursue a dream on their own when it gets to that point where you just need to let them out, you know, let them go and go after it themselves. So I hope you've enjoyed these. Please like and share these, send any, you know, give me any comments, and go have an amazing day and inspire someone else to do the same. God bless.